Okay, so contracts over spiritual contracts. In truth, here it is all about contracts. Unfortunately, most people stop at the physical aspect of what a contract is, thinking it is just a piece of paper or an agreement made in writing without ever considering the intent. Intent is what contract is all about, inasmuch as every thought is pure creation, unfettered, where we all make countless left-brain deals and contracts every instant of the day. This is why we need to gain control over our analytical minds, where the system has finally trained them to think in a certain way. If someone can channel your intent and absolute creation power by means of keeping you thinking in a certain way, how powerful could they be? This is the very nature of the register trap. When you enter an agreement to register anything, you are making a choice to let another rule your divine feminine creative ability at source. Anytime you intend to do anything, it is already a spiritual contract. The trick is to gain control over that intent, and the distractions of this world fit that bill nicely. Are you caught up in the emotional dramas of day-to-day life? And if so, then your mind is owned by the illusions. You cannot serve two masters, period. So who and what are the masters? This is pure black and white. There is no gray area on this one, no halfway in and remaining a virgin, no almost pregnant, no partial deals with the devil. In this game, you're either in or you're out, either in bed with the whore of Babylon or you kick her out of your bed with no going back. To illustrate this clearly, let me share it this way. If you carry any form of ID or you're part of the whore system, or not, if you have a bank account, a passport, a library card, etc., with your, quote, name on it, are you playing with the whore or not? And I want to go back to the word name. There's that not applicable magnetic electric, right? N-A, not applicable, me, M-E, magnetic electric. More and more layers, just to show that the size of the cosmic joke and how blatant this is once you start breaking all the rules, using all the rules. So carrying on here. What most people miss out on is the fact that anything you agree with at all, you are in a spiritually binding contract. End of story. Let me say that again. If you are in agreement with anything or anyone, you are bound under universal, natural, spiritual laws and are thus in contract with whatever your agreements may be and bound to those you are agreeing with. Is that clear enough for you? I'll wait a second here and let that sink in fully, so that you can see the measure of your own involvement with a system you claim to loathe. If you vote for someone, you grant them your power, pure and simple. Fact, done deal, you're owned, a slave, now get over it. Perhaps you may not feel good about that, but then whose choice is it? We can bitch and complain about our situations here in the physical realms, but we must consider first and foremost what our intentions and agreements are and what they manifest. The physical realm is the effect, and the spiritual realm is the cause, where the vast majority of people only see things from a body-stuck physical viewpoint and are, as a result, doing it all backwards, to the glee of the ones that control the system's intent. Humanity is ultra-quick to blame outside of themselves based on the various scenarios one can find themselves in. For every cause, there is an effect, and for every effect, there was a cause. What people don't like to consider is the very fact that they were involved at all levels willfully, if only ignorant of these universal variables and laws. While we continue to agree with commerce, we will be at full effect to those that control the money. So please don't cry me a river about your situations, because I've cried enough about my own until I finally grew up, accepted the responsibility of my own contracts, and worked diligently to remove the ignorance which finds me where I am now. Another aspect that people don't get is the sheer polarity that they live in. When one considers something evil and only evil, they are polarized and off-center and will never see beyond the duality of being polarized. It is only when we can see both good and evil in everything, which is never really easy, that we begin to see things as they truly are at all. I have had my own encounters with extreme evil, yet from those experiences, I got the knowledge that I have and can share, which I can see as good. It is all solely dependent on one's perspective. If your perspective is polarized to one side or the other, the instant something comes into play that opposes your opinion, you get all emotional about it and end up in some left-brain monkey chatter fest and fully distracted. Remember this, that which you agree with, you are in full contract with. I have mentioned many times the absolute lunacy of some freemen on the land or sovereign citizen telling a uniformed goon that they do not wish to contract with them are already in contract with the original license and application to get one in the first place. This is the original contract that hasn't been nullified on the physical and most assuredly hasn't been nullified in the spiritual realms either. Even considering that you need a license, is agreement enough for this game? In order to begin to grasp this concept, just consider all the agreements you have ever went into throughout your life, and soon you'll see the garbage piling up. The school system is more about getting children to simply agree with what is being taught, more so than what is being taught. The curriculum is inferior to the intent of the programming. One need only look at the first test that we ever wrote to see this. When a question is asked and requires an answer based on the teachings, you must have to agree that there is a right and a wrong answer according to what someone else is telling you. The easy exposure of that is to ask yourself the simple question, did it really happen if I didn't witness it? Or is it someone else's idea of what happened that you were contracting with? Every single thing that you agreed with but didn't experience yourself is an external agreement with someone else's idea of reality. So how's that working out for you? Well, who created the schools, the governments, the constructs of society, and how are they maintained? The easy answer is that it wasn't you, but the truth is, you are in full agreement with all of these illusions simply by going along to get along. Talk about a perfect trap. This is the point that we all have to get to before we can begin freeing ourselves by freeing our minds of the programs so carefully embedded that are totally detrimental to our spiritual existence. Just ask yourself why you are who you are and why you do the things you do. The likely scenario is that you are one religion or another based on your family. Your political views are the result of seeds being planted by your society, and your belief systems are fully based on what those closest to you taught you to believe without question. At what point does one break free of this nonsense? Well, you break free once you begin to negate, question, and counter everything you ever thought to be true. If it wasn't your own idea, it wasn't your own idea, and you are in contract with something or other as a net result. I covered this somewhat in my essays Type Choices and Behold a White Canvas. It is impossible to know where you're going if you don't know where you've been, so that you have a compass reference to steer yourself. Everything I've ever been taught was tossed in the garbage, and I did my own reboot. It was quoted once like this, "If thine eye offend thee, pluck it out." That is not a literal statement, but rather an allegorical one. Good thing, huh? What it's trying to tell you is this. If you are doing something that creates a problem, stop doing it. With that in mind, what is really creating life's problems for you? If the answer was anything but myself, you have a long way to go, and you are polarized with no hope of seeing what is really going on here. This is a game of principalities of light and dark, thought forms made manifest, and can only exist where our agreements are all it takes to keep them alive, quite literally. I have simply decided to not be party to these agreements any longer, where my reality involves only that which I willfully agree with in full responsibility of my own choices. It really is quite simple, but the ego doesn't do simple. It only does complicated because simple doesn't involve drama, distractions, emotions, etc. This is the fundamental concept of the devil in the deep blue sea of Scylla and Charybdis, where the details will get your mind picked off bit by bit, and the ignorance will sink your entire ship. Only in the middle will you see both sides of the coin, the head and the tail of the dragon that has owned your mind for so long. You now have the choice to agree or not to agree with this insanity, where I've said enough is enough. I can't tell you where your point of enough is. Only you can do that. What I will say about that is this. Whatever bed you decide to make is the one you'll be sleeping in, and will either have the Whore of Babylon waiting after bedding everyone before you, or the sheets will be pure and white. I chose the latter. Make no mistake about this game. It is not for the faint or the weak of heart. It will test you to your limits, but never beyond that point. You will be tested to the degree that is required for you to get it, and it will be up to you as to how far that goes and to what it will take. So choose the being hit by a feather or having a mountain dropped on you. What makes it easiest for me is that I know that my choices will not involve party to a murdered child due to the system that breeds warfare and starvation, where I will not aid and abet it by being an energy source via my ignorant agreement. I am weary of hearing people claim to be spiritual healers or the like and are still in bed with the whore, the original contract that nullifies any and all current spiritual intent. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. This is the tough choice. But the truth is, I value my spiritual nature that is infinite over all the physical manifestations of a single lifetime. The choice is that extreme, and you'll either take these gifts and use them this lifetime, or get stuck with another round of the same bullshit from a fully sleepy beginning again, as in 0 Point. Just ask yourself if you'll be happy going through kindergarten again, or are you ready to step it up to make the grade this time round? No pressure, really. Just that all of the universe is in your hands, regardless of what choice you make. Beyond that, I know who and what I am now, so my choices are manifesting, and I get to see those results play out every single day. You can too, but then you have a choice to make now, don't you? The Whore of Babylon or you? Choose. Much love. Yours truly.